In offshore racing, the water tells the truth. It doesn't care about reputation, it doesn't care about horsepower, and it definitely doesn't care about ego. Because once the throttle drops and the boat leaves the dock, the ocean becomes the ultimate referee. Out there are no second chances. Every decision matters. Every wave matters. Every movement of the wheel or throttle can change the outcome of a race. Some classes in offshore racing reward pure speed. The biggest engines, the fastest boats, the teams chasing top-end numbers. But other classes, they test something different. They test discipline, they test teamwork, they test whether a crew truly understands how to read the water and work together when the conditions get rough. Class 7 is one of those classes. In the offshore racing world, Class 7 has long been considered a proving ground. The boats are smaller and lighter than many of the big offshore machines, but that doesn't make them easier to drive. In fact, it's the opposite. These boats are extremely responsive. They demand constant attention, and every second on the race course requires communication between the driver and the throttle man. The driver reads the water, steers the boat, and sets the line through the course. The throttle man controls the power, manages the balance of the hull, and works the throttle to keep the boat flying safely over the waves. When the two are in sync, the boat becomes special. But if the communication breaks down, Class 7 will remind you very quickly who's really in charge. That's why so many respected offshore racers have spent time learning their craft in this division. Because when you can survive Class 7, you learn to respect the water. And today we're talking with a team that's living that experience right now. Behind the wheel of their Class 7 race boat is Marianne Stallcup, affectionately referred to as MJ, a 15-year-old driver already stepping into one of the sport's most demanding classes. For many racers, just reaching the starting dock in offshore competition takes years of preparation. But Marianne is already taking on the challenge head-on, learning the craft of offshore racing one race at a time. Besides her in the cockpit is someone who knows exactly what it takes to run a race boat, her stepfather, Scott Jobin. Scott serves as the throttle man for the team, managing the boat's power, balancing the hull in the rough water, and working the throttles every second to keep the boat fast, stable, and competitive. Driver and throttle man, wheel and power, stepdaughter and stepfather, two racers sharing the same cockpit, one boat, one mission, and together they represent Safe Cash Racing, a family team built on trust, communication, and a shared passion for offshore boat racing. Today we're going to talk about their journey into the sport, what it's like learning offshore racing together as a family, and what it takes to compete in one of the most challenging and respected classes in offshore racing. This is As the Prop Turns. Scott, MJ, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everybody, for coming to As the Prop Turns. I'm your host, Chris McElwee. Today, I have Safe Cash Racing, ex-insurance, MJ, and her stepfather, Scott. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
MJ, I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to start with you. You started at 14 years old. I want you to tell us how old you are today, but 14 years old. And you weren't just riding in the boat, you're in the driver's seat. Can you tell everybody what this has all been like for you?
Well, I'm 15 now. I just turned 15 a couple days ago. I mean, it's riding in the boat, if I'm gonna be honest, it kind of just feels like a game of Mario Kart. It's definitely an adrenaline rush, and I was very scared at first, but when we started going, it was just fun.
Last year was your first time at Key West in the Worlds, yes?
Mhm.
What was that experience like for you?
it was amazing seeing all these people from all these different places and connecting with them and connecting with people that we all share the same interest with. It was very great.
It is pretty cool. And then on the other side of the cockpit, we got Scott. We're talking about MJ's stepdad. Scott, what made you decide MJ is going to go drive a race boat and we're going to do this as a family? I mean, it just must have been a huge decision, and I'm sure you had to get mom's approval.
Well, kinda. We had this 700 boat that was just sitting around. Didn't want to sell it, and Rick and I'd run it for first year, and it was just sitting there. And I came home from work one day and just talking to MJ. I'm like, "Hey, you want to go race?" And she's like, "Well, you think I could?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think you could probably run the 700 boat." So we just started practicing and put her in it a few days, and we didn't really ask mom's opinion or permission. We just kind of announced that MJ was going to be racing with me next year. And I don't think mom believed us at first, but when the helmet came, the life jacket came, and we were registered and she had to take her to get a physical, I think that's when she knew we were probably really going to do this.
Man after my own heart. Ask for forgiveness is much easier in the long run. So MJ, tell us what it's like sitting there driving this boat, the controlling the boat through the rough water. People at home don't understand all that. What's it like, driving this boat? Scott's got the throttle, so he's controlling how fast and how slow. But what are you doing over there? Tell everybody what your job is.
I mean, I'm just turning the wheel, but it's a lot more than just making turns. It's about keeping the boat steady, keeping it in the exact right spot so you don't get into someone's wake. It's a lot more than that, and I feel like people don't realize that.
What's your scariest moment in the boat you've had so far?
Um, I mean, there was one time where we hit another boat. There was another time where we shattered our piston rod and we didn't really know what was happening. Um, we've cracked our fiberglass a lot. There's been a lot.
We've had a pretty rough season. We blew up a motor, broke some fiberglass, may or may not have bumped into a boat accidentally, but nothing major.
Robin's racing.
The starts are the worst part. I mean, the starts in every class I feel are the start to the first turn.
They were
That's
tough last year, all of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the race is basically, I don't want to say won, but a lot of times.
Well, and again, for everybody at home that's new with this episode, Class 7, it's a speed limited class. Scott, you're the throttle man. Why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, it's a 60-mile-an-hour limit class. They've gone back and forth with the breakout rules, as everybody knows, from a 3-second leeway to no leeway. And I think they're back now this year to less than total of 3 seconds of the total breakout, which I'm not sure how that's going to go. The first season I ran Class 7, we were very aggressive and just tried to hit the number as much as we could. And I've kind of realized that maybe growing up a little bit that it might be better to run 58 consistently and not break out. And ultimately, you may get a better finish, and especially with a zero tolerance. You break out from 3 seconds. Now you're at the back of the race. And if you go past 63, I think is the new rule, you're disqualified. So,
right. I was seeing
I don't
some of that
know.
in the new rules, and the timing of the throttle is unforgiving in the 7 boats. I've talked to other guys that say, coming up the side of up the wave, they might be only going 58, but when they come on the downstroke, they might hit 62. And how do you deal with that?
It's tough because a lot of the prop's a little bit deeper than the bottom of the boat. So the boat could be out of the water, but the prop is still digging, and all of a sudden you have no resistance. So you can pick up a lot of speed quickly. My personal method is kind of put the trim tabs down, the drive down, hold it wide open, or at a certain throttle spot, and try to control the trim or the speed with the trim. That's the way I found it to be most successful.
Now, MJ, does your team run 1 V box or 2 V boxes? I'm
2.
learning a lot of things this year.
2 to 3.
Oh, wow. You guys too, huh?
Mhm.
So that's been a big issue, and we're talking about breakouts. Very hard to determine these things, the speed spikes in them, right? So yeah, it really shies you away from trying to hit that max speed we're allowed to hit.
On rough water, you risk everything by trying to hit the 59.9 mile an hour, and it's I don't want to say it's not worth it, but it's hard to also pull back when in the competition in the heat of
Right.
the moment.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So this fascinates me though with you too. I was a stepdad early in my life, and I have my new wife now. She was a stepmom, but the dynamics in the boat. I mean, MJ, most kids are just out playing ball or soccer games, stuff like that. Here you are running in some big series racing. What's that dynamic like?
I don't really know. So I have played a lot of sports in my life. I've done volleyball, soccer, football. I've done a lot and I'm terrible at all of them. It's not my thing. And so I took probably about a 2-year break where I just didn't do anything. And then he just asked me if I wanted to race, and it just ended up working better than all of that. So I don't know. I like it a lot better. Yeah.
Well, I think it's incredible. I remember this year at Key West, that's when I really realized how little you were, because I've been hearing about it. And I know everybody's busy, and I didn't have this platform yet, but I saw you and I got a picture of it in my phone. You were putting your life jacket on down at the boat ramp in the boat. And I was like, man, there she is, like, in all her glory. And it's just amazing to see what you've done. Scott, what's it like racing with her? It's got to be pretty cool.
It's great. She is super reliable. She wants to communicate through the race, and the biggest problem we have is she wants to listen to music too, which is great. I got no problem with it. It's just hard to sometimes get the music playing while we're
Right.
racing. She'll be like, "Can you turn it up?" I'm like, "I'm a little busy over here."
Right. Well, and that's the thing. A lot of the throttle guys, we got our face stuck at a GPS trying to watch what's in front of us, but keeping that happy number that you're not going to break out and ruin everything she's worked hard to do. Right.
Right.
And that's the tough part. And then Class 7 produces such strong drivers. I was talking with the Red Rum guys, and Anthony's a great driver. I mean, I know there's several others in the class, dirt legal guys,
They're
great
great.
driver. Um, where do you see yourself in a couple more years, MJ?
Um, I would like to move up to class 600 when I turn 16. So it's 1 year, probably after this season, do you think? Yeah.
Okay.
Do you mean like just racing wise?
Well, yeah, I mean, in a couple of years, you think you're, because we haven't even got there yet, but Scott's got a Mod V boat. Stepdad's got a bigger toy to play with. Is that something you might want to try eventually?
Yeah, my plan right now is to slowly kind of work my way up. So I want to, after this, do class 600 and then Mod B.
That's awesome. That's a great goal. Scott, you're running the Mod V currently with
Hmm.
another gentleman. What
Yep.
is your schedule this year with what's your guys' thinking?
Rick and I are running the same races that MJ and I are running, just for logistics. As far as that, it's a lot of work to just get one boat there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't want to say it's more than double work to get two boats there, but and you start trying to get two boats to the ramp, and you're like Key West, our races were back to back every day. I would literally jump out of the 700 boat in the harbor and get on the other boat with Rick. So it becomes a very logistical nightmare and a lot to handle, but it's well worth it because I get to go out in like on Key West. I would go run the 700 boat and get right in the mod, and I feel like it gave me a little bit more of a advantage because I was just out there. I knew what to expect.
Well, it's like
So
a warm up for the course, right?
it is.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I think it does give you a little bit of advantage, in my opinion. Now, no two laps are the same, of course, but it gives you that slight advantage of, okay, you already got your reference points of what boat's sitting where for, your
Mhm.
marks to making your turns. So now let me ask you this question, because Key West is a tough place to race. So MJ, first time at Key West, coming into turn one in the harbor. What was that like for you?
I was pretty unprepared, to be honest. It was I took a tight turn and we fell behind there, but very rough.
Key West is a big learning curve, the way the water works there. And again, just that you did as well as you did it's impressive because again, 14 years old. I mean, that's amazing. There's not a lot of 14-year-old girls out racing boats, so I think it's amazing. I really do. Scott, you're gonna also campaign the Mod V with your partner. What does that mentally, you get the advantage of seeing the course, but now you guys are out there. I mean, I think it puts you ahead, doesn't it?
It puts me ahead, I think. It gets me relaxed for the 700 boat's tougher than the mod.
Really?
Mod's
Explain that.
You're strapped in the mod, you're in a canopy, you're on suspension seats. It's just a different ride. I mean, the 700 boat is very unforgiving.
Yeah.
Mistakes show up quick, and the
Yes,
mod
they do.
you can bury some mistakes with horsepower and power or throttle, but
Right.
700 it'll humble you quickly.
And that's probably tough too, because in Mod V it's wide open throttle. You guys run spec engine, spec drive, spec gear, so it's it's running.
Just hold it wide open and trim it a little, and Rick does the rest.
That's awesome. All right, quick fire round. We're gonna do something fun here. First thing that comes to mind, MJ: rough water or flat water?
Rough water.
Really?
Yeah.
She's a rough water kid, huh, Scott?
More fun.
We both are.
All right. Scott, biggest race day adjustment for you?
Just getting to the driver's meeting, getting everything there checked in behind you, and getting into the boat. Once you're in the boat, all the stress goes away.
I agree with that. MJ, describe Class 7 in a short sentence.
Rough.
Okay.
That's about it.
I've watched a lot of film. I mean, in Michigan City, how did you guys fare in Michigan City this season?
We broke our engine mounts.
Okay. So that's what I was getting at. Michigan City was rough.
Yeah.
My wife raced her first race there in Class 600 with the Ultimate Boat Experience with Rob Goodwin.
Cool.
And man, it was rough, but they did great. They did great. Scott, one word that describes Mod V.
It's intense.
I'd agree with that too. MJ, the hardest part of driving your Class 7 boat?
Keeping the boat steady when it gets really rough.
Scott, hardest part of throttling it for MJ in the Class 7 boat?
Keeping it at 59.9.
I can just attest with the speed limit. It's tough. It's a lot of work, a lot of watching.
It is.
MJ, best race moment for you so far?
My first race, I was so scared, like all the build up before, and I didn't even notice that they dropped the flag and we were just going. I didn't even notice we were racing, and I said, "Are we racing?" And Scott was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Oh, this isn't bad. This is actually really fun."
That's awesome. Scott, most intense water you've ever seen?
Key West the year before, 2024, probably.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys race Sheboygan last season?
We did not race Sheboygan.
Yours got canceled Sunday.
Okay. Right. We were
That's
not
right.
in Sheboygan. We were in Sheboygan the year before. So we
Okay.
missed the fog and the really rough stuff.
Okay, yeah, last year was a bummer. MJ, if they could have a dream race location, what would yours be?
I don't know. Probably marathon. We didn't go. I know they do races there, but we didn't go last season. But definitely marathon.
I like that answer. Scott, one piece of advice you would give a young throttle man?
Patience and stick with it.
MJ, one piece of advice you give a young driver.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself to be great. Just make it exist first and then improve.
All right. Scott, I want to talk about family and mentorship because racing is so much bigger than that just for you guys. You're not just teammates, you're family, and I know MJ means the world to you and you mean the world to her, but what does it mean just to have you guys in the boat? You trust each other at this level. And how has this sport brought you closer as a family? And I know you said you didn't really ask mom for permission because it's easier to get forgiveness, but how has it brought your whole family closer?
We get to spend a lot of time in the truck. We get to spend a lot of time at the races. When you're at the races, your whole day-to-day family obligations kind of fall away, and everybody comes together focused on whatever the task is: getting the boat in the water, cleaning up after the pits, rinsing the boat off, flushing it. At home, I'm not going to say MJ may or may not do all her chores. At the racetrack, she is coming to me asking what to do next. What can I do? What can I do? And whatever I could tell her to watch the bottom of the boat with Windex 3 times, she is under there doing it, or cleaning it, or getting life jackets ready, or getting the V boxes in, or making sure that, it's full of fuel. And as every race goes on, she gets more and more responsibilities. Off season this year, we're working on our master checklist so that she is going to go over the whole boat, because I'm a big believer in, if you don't check it, you should expect what you check.
Right. Well, I think it's great. Just as a family, what you guys are doing together. Before we finish this thing up, I like to talk about faith. And I know, MJ, you're new, but Reverend Jim Black means the world to me and to a lot of people. And I'm going to get him on here as soon as I can free him up. But he doesn't like cameras, even though he takes great pictures and does what he does for all of us. But what does it mean to have Reverend Jim at the race and to come over and you and your dad and your mom and pull you guys in for a big prayer?
Well, to me, I was very impressed with him the first time I saw him. I'd always heard about him for years. He does the prayers at the drivers' meetings. He'll come over and he seems to know every driver and every team, and always has a positive word to say. Um, it's very impressive, and it kind of, at the drivers' meeting, will keep you grounded, get the big picture, and make sure that it just makes you think that you want to make sure, more than anything, win, lose, draw, you just come home safe.
Yeah,
MJ?
he goes to my church. He's a very nice person. I love talking to him. He's very smart. I love hearing his insights and what he believes about all this, and it really puts everything into a bigger perspective.
Well, I'm jealous. You go to his church? Man, I've been meaning to get down there because I don't know what it is about him, but even in Key West, it's almost like you're like, is are you talking? What he's saying there? Are you talking to me? Like, I mean, I feel that with him, his presence, and it just means a lot to all of us. So I think that's cool. You guys are bringing family and faith and racing and all the great things to what this sport needs and what it showcases. So if somebody out there seeing this, MJ, and they want to decide they like what you're doing and they want to sponsor you and get on board, get behind you, how do they get a hold of you?
A lot of people reach out through email, phone number, but mostly it starts off with TikTok, actually, with DMs, just people reaching out, and then I'll send them further contact information.
That's how I contacted you, the TikTok platform. I started that a long time ago. I'm almost to 14,000. Quite powerful, the internet.
It's
Yes.
amazing.
So, Scott, if somebody wants to help this team, do you have a racing website or anything? Or is MJ, she's the spokesperson? Because that's how I found you guys. I'm going to be honest here. She's got a little platform going. She knows what she's doing.
She digs pretty hard. It's safecashracing.com. So we have a website. There's ways to get in touch with us. Lots of pictures, videos. We try to update it as much as we can, but like everything, it sometimes falls behind, but we try to keep it updated.
Or
Well, it's
Mary
tough.
Racing on Instagram or TikTok.
One more time.
Or you could go to Mary and Stallcup Racing on Instagram or TikTok and DM us.
I'll make sure that that's on there where people can find it, because there's a lot of people that want to help young racers. You see it all the time. And, MJ, you're on TikTok, so you see other racers and these young kids driving these dirt cars. There's a little girl driving a dirt car, and after the race is over, let this sink in. They put her in a booster seat to get home. It's the law. Yeah, she's like 8 years old. It's just
Wow.
it's amazing. And I think girls bring something new to the sport. The Demon Bikini, Leanna Shadlow, I spoke with her and Chad Havens, and women bring such a different dynamic to the sport, and I think it's good for everybody. I think it's good for the sport. I think it's great what you guys are doing as a family. MJ, you're paving the way for other kids to say, "Hey, look at what I'm doing." And I hope that this ends up being a big thing, and one day maybe I can come back and do an interview, and you guys are in a pro class 1 boat or a super cat talking about it all started in class 7.
Let's hope. And class 7, I think, really is the entryway to offshore. I mean, it's a I don't want to say it's the toughest class, but it's tough. If you can get through that, you can probably do a lot more.
Well, I agree with you 100%, because it teaches you so many things. Like you said that MJ's doing, you're making a master checklist, and should be checking fluids and everything on the boat, and the communication system and the safety system, and just all of those things that go along. You can learn so much coming up. Start small, go big. It's a process, right? And you got to crawl before you walk. So, and I'd say she's ready to run this year.
I would say she's going to be a pretty serious contender. I mean, no pressure on her, but I feel like this is going to be a good year for her.
Well, and the season kicks off coming up, St. Petersburg, Florida. You guys are going to be there. I see it on the top of the list. You're all ready, MJ? You're good to go? The boat's ready?
Yep. It's not?
The boats are never ready.
Oh, they're never ready.
He's right. They're never ready.
You work on them till time runs out.
That's it. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing your time with me. The season's going to be killer. St. Pete, and I'm hoping that you get on the podium while you're down there, and we'll be there to watch. So shoot for the moon. This could be the MJ season. And in fact, look at the MJ in NASCAR this year, 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe MJ, it's going to rub off in boat racing, and we're going to see a class 7 sweeper. She'll come St. Petersburg, then you go win New Orleans, and then you come win Cocoa Beach.
Can't wait.
Well,
I feel like it's going to happen.
Listen, I've done enough homework and watched enough clips to know that you two are going to be very successful this season. As long as your equipment is right, like I see your equipment is, you're going to be very successful. And my prediction, write it down, March 5th, 26, MJ, you're getting your first win this year. You're doing it. I've seen enough to know they're not back, Scott.
No, I know. She's a handful in the boat.
Well, and you're no slouch over in that throttle seat. So let's not make any mistakes. You know what you're doing over there, and I think you two are going to be the combination this year. And I'm hoping you have a great season. But yeah, I'm going to call it. MJ gets her first win this year.
I hope so.
I'm going to hold you to it.
Hey, I'm going to hold you to it too. So, well, I appreciate your guys' time. I appreciate everybody tuning into this channel. It's a platform I've wanted for a long time. We need it. And make sure you hug the ones you love, because they matter. And tomorrow's not promised. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you all at the races.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Offshore racing has a funny way of keeping people humble. Out on the water, it doesn't matter where you're from, what kind of truck you drive, or how much horsepower you can throw around at the dock. in the stories you tell. Sooner or later, the water will test you. And usually, it tests you when you least expect it. That's especially true in Class 7. It's a class where the boats are quick and the water can get mean in a hurry, and the learning curve comes at you just as fast as the waves. But it's also a class where racers learn what offshore is really about. Not just speed, but trust. Trust in the boat, trust in your teammate, and sometimes trust that the next wave isn't going to try and throw you into next Tuesday. For MJ Stallcup, getting behind the wheel at just 15 years old means stepping into that challenge earlier than most. But like a lot of racers before her, she's learning the sport the right way, by getting seat time, listening, paying attention, and figuring things out one race at a time. And sitting right beside her in the cockpit is someone who knows that process pretty well, her stepfather, Scott Jobin. Working the throttles, managing the boat, and probably reminding her once in a while that the water always deserves a little respect. Driver and throttle man. Stepdaughter and stepfather. Two people sharing the same cockpit, trying to make a race boat behave in conditions where sometimes boats really don't want to behave. Together, they make up Safe Cash Racing, a family team chasing the same thing a lot of offshore racers are chasing. A good run, a clean race, and maybe a few stories to laugh about back at the dock. Scott, MJ, we really appreciate you spending some time with us and sharing your story. And to everyone watching or listening, thanks for hanging out with us here at As the Prop Turns. We'll see you next time, because as long as there are race boats in the water, there will always be another story to tell.